G'day everyone, Mitch here once again with another Model T Ford video. Just a short one this one. We're going to put some new spark plugs in the old girl. I've been running Champion X plugs in my Model T for the last 10 years or so. Been running the exact same set for that whole time. If you know much about Model Ts, you'll know that the Champion X plugs have a bit of a trick up their sleeve, which I'll show you in a moment. Yeah, I'll say about 10 years since I last put a set in. One of them recently broke on me down to metal fatigue. So let's have a look at it. So as you can see here, one of these spark plugs doesn't look like the rest. So basically what happened was the metal peg on top of the spark plug actually snapped off. And the spark plug lead was just floating around doing its own thing. Fortunately, I had a spare plug to hand, so this one's just a Champion 25, just a stock standard plug. So yeah, lucky I had that to hand so I could actually get home again. I was actually at a car show at the time when it snapped off. So that just leaves me with the original 3 Champion X's. Now there's nothing wrong with them as such, apart from a bit of surface rust on them, but that's no big deal. But I thought, well, why not? It's been 10 years, I'll splash out and buy a set of new ones. So we're going to replace all 4, and then at least I will have 3 spare plugs to use. Alrighty, so this is how they come. This is the box that they come in. So I wasn't going to do this as an unboxing video, so we'll just crack straight on with it and get these plugs changed. Now your Champion X spark plugs come with this handy set of instructions with it. So it shows you what your spark gap needs to be, and tells you in fairly good detail here how to actually fit them. Okay, now I was very fortunate when I bought my Model T that it actually came with some of the original tools, not least of which is this very handy wrench or spanner, depending on what part of the world you're from. Obviously got the original Ford name on the handle there. So the beauty of these is the big end fits your spark plugs, and the small end fits your head bolts and your wheel nuts as well. So some very useful functions there. Okay, so I've already gone ahead and undone these nuts on here. So we'll just get that lead out of the way. Now the trick with the spark plugs is, whilst you do want them tight, you don't want them overly tight, because you obviously don't want to strip the threads out of your engine. Now there's a bit of vegetation matter got in there. Alright, so I'll just go ahead and get the rest of these spark plugs out, and then we'll come back to the new ones. Now a little trick I found with these, when you're doing your spark plugs, make sure that when you take your leads off the top, make sure that you put the little thumb screw back on straight away rather than actually taking the plug out. And I'll show you why. Because the easiest thing to do in the world, and fortunately I've never done it, but I have heard stories about it, take that off and got a plug off in the next hole, take that off and whoops, and you dropped it straight into the cylinder next to it. So make sure, just leave those plugs as they are and put the thumb screws back on before you pull the plug out. Otherwise you'll be swearing if you drop the thumb screw into the cylinder and then you've got to try and fish around in there to get it out. Not fun. Okay, so we're nearly there with these. Again, make sure to put that thumb screw back on before you take the plugs out. Saves a whole lot of headaches. Alright. Okay, so it's out with the old, in with the new, quite literally. So I'll say these particular plugs are about 10 years old now, and they've served me very well. So the 3 that are remaining that aren't broken, I'll hang on to those as spares, and we'll pop these nice new shiny ones in. Now before I do that, I will actually pull one of these apart and show you how they actually look. Okay, so what you want to do with these, quite simple, and I just use a shifter or a crescent, whatever you want to call it. Commonly here in Australia, these things get referred to as a shifter, but I'm sure they're actually they go by other names in other countries. Crescent wrench, I believe, is another name for them. Anyway, what you want to do is just grab hold of the thickest portion of the spark plug with one, And then what you've got here is you've got this secondary nut here, and simply all you need to do is, that's probably easier said than done. These ones have been done up quite tight. We'll see how this goes. What you actually didn't see off camera there was I was actually trying to tighten it, so that's probably why it didn't want to come undone. Okay, so what we basically got here is this nut portion is now loose, so we can now undo that. Now what you've got to be very careful of is just inside of here. I'll just get that section off and hold it up this way so that when you lift this off you don't lose the copper olive that's on there. Very important. Okay, so that just leaves you with literally the porcelain stem, which obviously now you've got that all exposed. That's easy to clean. Right, I'll pull apart one of these, one of the old ones, and we'll see just how black they've gotten over the years. Anyway, that's how you pull them apart to clean them. Now, very important, don't lose that copper olive, otherwise you will be crying, I promise you. So that goes on exactly like that. Just keep in mind, I don't know if you can quite see it on the camera there, but it is a sort of a concave sort of shape. So make sure that that sits and matches on top of the porcelain like so, and sits nice and flat. And then you can simply lower that in over the top, and that sits in there. And then you simply put the nut back in there and screw it back together. And important to note that when you do take it apart, you will upset the spark gap. So I believe it's 25 thou is the measurement that they recommend for your spark gap. So I'll have a closer look at that in a moment. In the meantime, let's pull apart one of these old ones here, and we'll see just how dirty they've become. Now I will say I do take these apart periodically to clean them, and yeah, this one's a bit on the tight side. The thread's got a little bit of corrosion in there. Now you can put WD-40 or similar lubricants in there when you're putting them back together, but obviously being a spark plug, it's going to get pretty hot. So the lubrication sort of disappears pretty quickly. So if anybody's got any ideas as to heat resistant lubricants, dry lubricants, let me know. I'd be interested to hear about that. So take that out, pop that upside down. Now there's the olive inside there. There we go. So as you can see, this one's not too bad. As I say, I have been keeping these as clean as I possibly can. It's got a bit of carbon build up in the base there, but that's okay. But the electrodes are still nice and clean, so I must be doing something right. Must have my engine running pretty good. And if you've seen my most recent video before this one, you would have seen that I've actually put a new timer in my Model T as well. I think I might have cross-threaded that. Be careful about that. There we go. I'll put that one back together later. In the meantime, let's get these new plugs in. Okay, now I know I promised this wasn't going to be an unboxing video, but this is YouTube and this is 2023, so that's what everybody seems to be doing on YouTube these days, so what the hell. So there's not a lot to an unboxing video for a spark plug, I'm afraid, but it's the best I can do. Alright, so as you can see, they come neatly wrapped up in their instruction sheet. There we go, that was hard, wasn't it? And they come with this really uninspired piece of cardboard tubing on the end. End of unboxing video. Okay, let's get these plugs in. Alrighty, so there's not a lot of science attached to putting in spark plugs, just like a modern car. Just screw them in and I'll tighten them down in a moment. I already went ahead and had a look at these plugs and they were pretty close to spec in terms of the spark gap, so fortunately I don't need to adjust them. Let's go plastic. Okay, let's get those tightened down, and then we'll make sure that the engine runs nice and smoothly with them. Okay, so all the spark plugs are now in. I've tightened everything up, taking care not to strip that beautiful brass work on the top. Liz hasn't been started today, so let's go ahead and see how easy or hard she's going to be to actually start. Okay, now as I mentioned before, we've literally just put these spark plugs in. Pardon me. Liz hasn't been started at all today, so it's a cold engine. We'll see what she thinks of the new plugs. So as always, remembering the safety procedures. Just off camera just before, I went ahead and primed the motor. Let's see how she goes. Close. And there we go. I don't know about you, but I'd call that a success. Well, I'm prepared to call that a 100% success. To be honest, I wasn't actually expecting her to start straight away, but as always, she's always got a trick up her sleeve. Well, that's it for this video. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for your continued support of my channel. I absolutely love doing these videos, and every time I log on there seems to be more subscribers there than the last time I looked. And as I say, I can't thank you guys enough. Your support, it really does mean a lot, and it gives me the motivation to keep doing more videos. Well, as always, thank you very much for watching, and if you are new here, don't forget to like and comment and smash that subscribe button for us. It really does help my channel, and makes me want to do more videos for you guys as well. So again, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.